Hi, I'm Izzy, and today I'm going to be making a butterfly puppet out of recycled household items. So let's go! The items I'm going to be using today are 2 cereal boxes, a plastic 2 litre pop bottle that has been cleaned and had its label removed, and a pile of colourful shredded plastic shopping bags that I got from my hoard under my sink. Also, an old ping pong ball, which I'm going to carefully chop in half for eyes. First step for the wings is to flatten the cereal boxes. The edges don't need to be super neat as I'm going to be cutting the wing shape out of them. So as you can see, I wasn't afraid to tear the box open with my hands. I'm also going to be using the pre-existing folds in the cereal box to give my wings movement. So I'm making sure I keep the folds in the center as I do this. And look, with a bit of film magic, I've cut out some wings for my butterfly. I drew the shape on first by freehanding it and then carefully cut it out. And now I use that as a stencil on my other cereal box. I line the folds up and trace around the edges of the wing I have cut out so that I get 2 identical wings that can layer up on each other. I also make sure that the orientation is correct so that when I come to glue them together, I get the 2 white sides facing outwards, so I get a nice clean finish. I can then cut out the second set of wings, following the lines neatly. And once I have both sets cut out, I can check the movement of the flapping of the wings to make sure I'm happy with it before I move on to the next step. Here I'm just making sure that I've got them the right way round so that when it comes to joining the wings together, I know which one's the top, which one's the bottom, which is the back, which is the front. So next step is to do the design for the wings. I'm just drawing out what shapes I like and where, making sure I leave about 1 centimetre around each shape so that I can have room to stick across the colours when it comes to it. Before that, I need to cut out all the shapes, so very carefully piercing through and following the lines. I'm just doing this on one wing and then I will use this as a stencil on the other wings so that all of the patterns are symmetrical and even. The idea behind this is almost like a stained glass window, so all the colour and everything will come through these holes we've created and this pattern. And here I am just transferring that, making sure the orientation of my wings is correct, and that way I can make sure everything fits together nicely afterwards once I've marked out all the holes and cut them all out. Once all the wings are stenciled and cut, it's time to move on to the body. I wanted to texture the body and make it a little bit more interesting, so I've gotten these strips of plastic bag plastic that are in this nice gold colour, and I'm just pulling it and giving it this sort of frill texture by just gently tugging it apart. It's okay that it rips a little bit, it will come together when it's glued onto the body. And here's a few I made earlier. I've got now a nice big pile of lots of gold frills that are going to stick around the body to give it this fluffy exterior. And voila. I started at the neck of the bottle and just using PVA glue and layering it up, wound my way around the bottle, creating this sort of frilly body. Here's some work in progress video of how it was going. I did stop part way before I got to the end so that I could glue on the ping pong balls for eyes. And that way, once the eyes were in place, I could work the rest of the face frills around where they sat so they didn't get in the way of where the eyes wanted to be. And then I just made sure I pushed everything down, making sure it was solidly glued in place, and left it to dry on a stick for a little while. While that dries, it's back to the wings. So we had our frames, and then I have stuck on my colours onto one side. So what I've done is I've cut shapes out of coloured plastic bags from shopping bags that I've hoarded. I've got some nice patterns and colours, and the light shines through them really nicely, and I've just stuck them on with PVA glue to cover up the shapes. And then I'm going to cover this with the other half of the wings, the second set of wings, and that's going to cover all those sort of like messy details where I've stuck the shapes down inside. It also secures it by just giving it extra strength and an extra layer, and again just makes it have a really nice clean finish. This is me attaching it with my glue. I just squidged it all around, and then I didn't have a spreader, so I did just get stuck in with my hands. I don't mind getting a little messy, especially with PVA glue, because it's always fun to peel it off at the end of the day. Once that's all evenly spread, I sandwich it down onto the one that's already had the colour stuck on it. Again, making sure those folds line up and the edges are neat, and just giving it a nice gentle press down. One more check to make sure those wings are still bending and that I'm happy with that movement. And then it's time to put that to one side and let it dry and go back over to the body. I'm adding a few more details, starting with some pupils. I've gone with some nice bright green big pupils, which I'm just drawing on with a Sharpie. I wanted to make the pupils really big and buggy because I think that's really fun for a butterfly character. And this was just really lovely and easy to do, to create that nice little extra character. And then I also wanted to add a rainbow beard, which I have created by shredding some brightly coloured card, so from different boxes and such that I had around the house. And then I've rolled individually up each of those strands to create a nice curling effect. However, I did notice that this was leaving a lot of the not coloured underneath of the cardboard visible, so I did go back and decide to colour those in with a colourful pen, which I do think definitely added to the rainbow effect on the beard. So I then glued on all the curly, colourful beard hairs, one chunk at a time in layers so that you could see all of the colours. And you might also notice I've added a little fun mustache made out of some yellow sweetie wrapper, and that just adds a lovely bit of character, I think. Here it all is glued on, and I'm just fluffing it out and making sure I'm happy with how the curls are falling. I was going to just glue the wings on top of the back, but I decided it would look better if I cut open a section of the back that's wide enough and slot the wings into it instead. And then I just put some glue on the inside and glued it down so it was secure. And I think this was a great decision because it feels much more sleek and like the wings are part of the body rather than just sitting on top, which I'm really happy with. I then decided to use this fun ribbon thing that I had left over from a friend's wedding as part of the controls. It's just a piece of wooden dowel with two equal lengths of ribbon coming off it, and it worked perfectly because I could just poke it through a hole in the wings either side and knot it up nice and tightly so it wouldn't come back through. And then that just gives me a little bit of extra control on the wings. And this is our butterfly. My left hand is holding its back up by having my finger inside the screw top of the plastic bottle that was left exposed. And my right hand is controlling the flap of the wings with the dowel and the ribbons. I have had loads of fun making this colourful butterfly out of recycled materials, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride. Thank you and goodbye.